Glenn Alexander is a senior fellow at the Center for European Policy Analysis. He joins me now live from Washington. Glenn, good to see you. So, I just want to pick up on one statement that was made by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. He basically said that boosting spending alone is not going to make NATO stronger. There has to be inclusivity. There has to be more cooperation. Trade barriers on defense products need to be lifted. How do you think we can ensure that this happens?
Well, it's all about the European Union on that side. NATO only does external hard power, and so the European Union does all the trade and inclusivity on things like that. NATO and the European Union work closely together, but the European Union needs to negotiate with the United States and with Turkey both on tariffs and trades going into the future. This is a holistic thing. You can't have defense without a successful economy to build the defense on.
Right, Glenn, now let's analyze the summit. Of course, many developments took place at the summit. We heard press conferences from major world leaders, from U.S. President Donald Trump, for example, and then there were some very interesting moments taking place on the sidelines. What moment stood out for you from the summit?
Well, it was Mark Rutte did two things. Number one is his welcome to Trump was effusive, and that means he's broken the code. He has figured out how to handle Donald Trump. Essentially, you need to praise him quite a bit, and he reacts very well. The other part was the 5%. Rutte herding everybody over to the 5% mark, except Spain, who very clearly did not buy into that. I don't know if they're going to be able to get to 3.5% defense on spending. It's going to be reviewed in 2029, but certainly the Europeans need to boost defense spending and their infrastructure, and especially purchasing munitions and platforms.
But he went a bit too far in praising Trump, don't you think so? Because, calling him daddy?
That was a reference to another article where they had said that Israel and Iran were like two kids fighting, and Trump was like dad. So that wasn't just calling him daddy. It was in reference to something else. But yes, that is going a bit far. But can you go too far with Donald Trump?
Right, that's a good point. Now, Glenn, of course, okay, let's talk about the main message from this summit. Of course, Russia was looking at what was happening at The Hague as part of this NATO summit. I mean, of course, there was no message that was sent out to Russia directly, especially when we look at the press conferences by these world leaders. But overall, what kind of message do you think this summit, the successful summit, as many would say, what kind of message do you think it sends to President Putin?
Well, in a very short summit announcement, the declaration, usually they run to 100 paragraphs. This one only ran 5. But in paragraph 2, the Europeans managed to put in particular, the long-term threat posed by Russia to Euro-Atlantic security. And so it was very clearly aimed at Russia. And, if they, the one thing that the Europeans are lacking in terms of confronting Russia, it's defense spending. And so I think that those were both very strong statements that Putin may or may not take seriously. The Europeans, part of NATO, hasn't always followed through on this. As we've seen, there's several allies who still haven't made the 2%.
Indeed,
so they're saying the right thing.
Right, but certainly President Putin will be concerned because at this point it seems NATO is more united than ever before. Fascinating insights. Glenn Alexander, thanks very much for joining me here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.